I had $11.43 in my account and 6 days until payday. And I wasn't buying something stupid. I was standing at a Walmart checkout trying to buy groceries, actual groceries, and my card declined. I was 47 years old. I had a job, a good one. I'd been working since I was 22. I quietly put the cereal back, kept the milk, walked out, sat in my car for a while, and the thing that really got me, that really sat in my chest like a rock, wasn't the $11. It wasn't even the embarrassment. It was that I had been here before. Not once, not twice. I couldn't even count how many times I'd stared at a number like that on my phone and told myself next month would be different. I worked 25 years paycheck to paycheck. And today, I want to tell you exactly what was keeping me stuck, because it wasn't what I thought it was. And the thing that finally broke the cycle was so simple it almost made me angry. When I got my first real job at 22, I thought I'd made it. I was pulling in $2,200 a month after taxes. That felt like serious money to me back then. I grew up in a house where my mom clipped coupons, and my dad picked up extra shifts just to cover the electric bill. So $2,200 a month felt like I was doing better. Like I had figured something out. I got an apartment, nothing fancy, $650 a month, thin walls, a parking lot view. I got a used car. I bought some furniture on a store credit card because they offered 0% interest for 12 months, and I thought, well, that's basically free money. I bought some clothes because I needed to look right for work. I got a gym membership I used maybe 4 times. And at the end of that first month, I had about $180 left over. I remember thinking, okay, not bad, I'll save that. I didn't save it. Something came up. It always came up. Month 2, same thing. Month 3, I was actually negative $40 before payday because I forgot my car insurance was due that week. Had to borrow money from my cousin. Told him I'd pay him back in 2 weeks. It took me 3 months. And that right there, that was the beginning of the cycle. I just didn't know it yet. I told myself I was just getting started. That this was normal. That once I got a raise, once I made more money, things would balance out. I genuinely believed that more money was the answer. Like there was a number, some magic monthly income, and once I hit it, everything would click into place. So I just kept going. Kept spending the way I spent. Kept telling myself it would fix itself. It didn't fix itself. By the time I was in my early 30s, I was making almost double what I started with, $4,100 a month. I had gotten promotions. I had worked hard. I showed up early and stayed late, and I genuinely cared about my job. And I was still broke 2 weeks into every single month. That's the part people don't understand from the outside. They see someone with a decent job, and they assume a certain level of stability. What they don't see is you on a Tuesday night sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of bills, trying to figure out which one you can delay by 2 weeks without it turning into a collections call. I did that math constantly, like it was a second job. Okay, rent is due on the 1st. That one you cannot push. Electric gives you a grace period of about 10 days. I knew that from experience. Car payment, 5-day grace period. Credit card minimum, if I pay the minimum on this one and skip the other one this month, I can float until the 15th when I get the second half of my paycheck. I had this whole system, a mental spreadsheet that lived in my head permanently. It didn't help me save money. It just helped me not completely collapse. There was this one month I was 38 where I had $340 left after bills, and I needed to make that last 14 days. That's groceries, gas, anything unexpected. I was doing fine until my daughter needed new shoes for school. $38. And I remember standing in the shoe aisle thinking, if I buy these shoes today, I will have $302 for 2 weeks. And I did the math on gas first, and I realized I was going to be short by the end of the second week. I bought the shoes. I needed to buy the shoes. She needed the shoes. But I drove around for the next 3 days with the low fuel light on because I was rationing gas money. $38. For school shoes, I was rationing gas money. I was 38 years old, making over $50,000 a year, and I was rationing gas money. The stress of that period, I don't have a word for it. It's not just financial stress. It gets into everything. Into your sleep. Into how you talk to your kids. Into how you feel when your phone buzzes. Because for a split second, Your brain thinks, is this a bill? Is this an overdraft notification? Is this someone I owe money to? I had 3 overdraft fees in a single month once. $17 here, $22 there. Each one triggered another because my account was already thin, and then the fee itself pushed me negative, and then the next transaction triggered another fee. The bank charged me $105 in overdraft fees that month. On an account that had less than $200 in it. I called the bank. They reversed 1 fee as a courtesy, just 1. The other 2 stayed. And I just absorbed it. What else do? You absorb it and you tell yourself, next month will be better. Here's what I thought the problem was for most of those 25 years. I thought the problem was that I didn't make enough money. And look, more money helps. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise. But here's the thing. Every time I got more money, I spent more money. Not wildly. Not irresponsibly, or at least it didn't feel irresponsible. I just expanded. Nicer apartment, slightly newer car, better groceries. A vacation once a year because I deserved it. I'd been working hard. Subscriptions I signed up for and forgot about. Eating out more because I was tired at the end of the week. And cooking felt like one thing too many. Each thing made sense on its own. Together, they just perfectly consumed every extra dollar I earned. The raises didn't save me because my spending grew at the exact same rate as my income, sometimes faster. And the deeper pattern, the one I really couldn't see, was that I had no system. Nothing automatic. I was managing my money entirely in my head, in real time, reactive, every single month. When money came in, I spent it. When something was due, I paid it. When something ran out, I panicked. I had no buffer, no separation between money that was available and money that was actually free to spend. I would look at my bank account, see $1,400, and think, okay, I have $1,400. I'd forget that rent was coming in 8 days. I'd forget that my car registration was due that month. I'd buy things because the number in my account said I could afford it, when technically, functionally, I couldn't. The account balance felt like the truth. It wasn't. That was the trap I lived in for 25 years, and I didn't see it clearly until I was sitting in a Walmart parking lot with $11.43 and a box of cereal I had to put back. That night, I got home and I sat at the kitchen table, and I actually wrote it all down. Not in an app, not in a spreadsheet, just on a piece of paper. I wrote down every single thing I owed each month. Rent, car, insurance, phone, electric, internet, credit cards, all 3 of them, student loans, subscriptions, minimum payments, everything. Then I added it up. The number was $3,340 a month in fixed obligations. My take-home pay was $3,890. I had $550 a month for groceries, gas, clothing, my daughter, anything unexpected, and theoretically, savings. I stared at that for a long time. I wasn't broke because I was irresponsible. I wasn't broke because I was buying stupid things. I was broke because I had built a life that cost almost exactly as much as I made, and I had no margin, and I had no system for protecting whatever tiny margin was left. That piece of paper changed something in me. Not because it showed me a solution, it didn't. It just showed me the actual truth of my situation for the first time in years. Maybe the first time ever. And there is something about seeing the real number, the real, honest, full picture that you can't unsee. I didn't sleep much that night. I want to be really honest here because I know how this part of the story usually goes in videos like this. Someone reveals some incredible insight and it sounds like magic. This isn't that. What I changed was one thing. Small, mechanical, almost boring. I opened a second bank account at a completely different bank. No debit card connected to it. No easy access. Just an account I couldn't casually dip into. And I set up an automatic transfer of $75 to move there every single payday. That's it. Not $500. Not $1,000. $75. Because when I looked at that piece of paper and I was honest with myself about what I could actually, realistically, move without feeling it too badly, it was $75. Some people will hear that and think, that's nothing. But here's what $75 did that nothing else had done in 25 years. It moved before I could spend it. That was the whole secret, not the amount, the timing, the automaticness of it. Every time I got paid, before I bought anything, before I saw the full amount and started mentally spending it, $75 was already gone, already somewhere else, already not available to me. I couldn't impulse spend it. I couldn't accidentally overdraft into it. I couldn't decide this month was tight and skip it. It just moved. Every time. In the first month, I didn't feel any different. I had $75 in a separate account and I was still doing the same mental math, still nervous in the last week before payday. But I didn't touch it. I told myself that account doesn't exist. It's not mine yet. It's future money. Second month, same thing. $75 more. Now I had $150 over there and I still didn't touch it. Third month I had $225 and my daughter needed money for a school trip, $60. Past me would have just paid it from whatever was in my main account and absorbed the shortfall later. This time I paused. I looked at my main account, I looked at what was coming up, and I figured out how to cover the $60 without touching the other account. That was new. That was a different kind of thinking. Around month 5, I had a little over $375 in that account, and my car had a problem. Nothing catastrophic, a busted taillight and a slow leak in one tire. In the past, that would have been a crisis. That would have been a week of stress, a delayed bill, maybe a credit card charge I'd be paying minimum payments on for 4 months. Instead, I used $180 from the separate account, fixed both things, still had nearly $200 left. And I remember thinking this is what people mean when they say emergency fund. I had heard that phrase 1,000 times, read it in articles, heard it in videos, build an emergency fund. Like yes, obviously, thank you, incredibly helpful advice when you have $11 in your account. But I finally understood what it actually felt like to have one, even a small one, even $200. The feeling is not just financial, it's physical, something in your chest unclenches. I pushed the transfer up to $100 the next month, then $125 3 months after that. I also did one other thing. I started looking at my actual account 2 days before any money came in. Not to panic, just to see, to know exactly where I was standing before the paycheck hit. That sounds small. It completely changed how I spent the first 3 days after payday. Because instead of seeing $3,890 and feeling like I had $3,890, I would see the full picture. What was already spoken for, what was actually mine. The visible balance was never the real balance. Learning to see the real balance, that was the second shift. I'm not going to tell you that everything became perfect. For the first year, I still had tight months. I still had moments of stress. I still made choices I regretted. One month, I ate out too much in the first 2 weeks and was eating peanut butter sandwiches by week 4. That still happened. But the spikes smoothed out. The disasters got smaller. The recovery got faster. By the end of year 1, I had just over $900 in that separate account. It was the most money I had saved in my adult life. I know how that sounds. Almost 26 years of working, and $900 was a record. But that's the truth, and I'm not going to dress it up. By year 2, I had $2,400. I had renegotiated one of my credit cards to a lower interest rate, something I'd never thought to do before, just called and asked. I had canceled 2 subscriptions I genuinely forgot I had, which freed up another $34 a month. The mental load started lifting, not all at once, gradually. I stopped dreading the buzz of my phone. I stopped doing that panicked bill math in my head at 2 in the morning. I started sleeping differently. My daughter noticed I seemed less stressed. She didn't say it exactly like that, but she said I seemed more relaxed, and it hit me harder than any financial milestone. Today I have a real emergency fund, 6 months of expenses, sitting there. I have a retirement account I actually contribute to. I have no credit card debt for the first time since I was 24 years old. I still work the same job. I didn't get a massive raise. I didn't start a business. And investments, that's a whole other conversation for another day. But I'll just say this, that's going way better than I ever expected to. The version of me sitting in that Walmart parking lot with $11.43 and a box of cereal I had to put back, that person wasn't stupid, wasn't lazy, wasn't irresponsible. was just operating with no system, no margin, no protection, running everything on memory and hope and the assumption that next month would be different. Next month was never going to be different until I made it different. And making it different only required one small mechanical action that I took before I could talk myself out of it. If you're watching this, and that parking lot story felt familiar, if you recognize the $11, the declined card, the bill math, the relief of the grace period, the overdraft fee that triggers another overdraft fee, I need you to hear this. You are not bad with money. You are operating without a system. And a person without a system will always lose to a world that is designed to take your money the second it arrives. Here is the one thing I want you to do today. Not tomorrow, not when things settle down, today. Open a second bank account at a different bank than your main one. A free one, they exist. Set up an automatic transfer for whatever amount won't break you this month. Maybe it's $50. Maybe it's $25. The amount is not the point. The movement is the point. Let it move before you can spend it. Let it sit somewhere you won't casually swipe into. Let it exist for 1 month without touching it. That's the whole thing. That's the shift that took me from $11.43 and a declined card at 47 years old to finally, for the first time in my adult life, feeling like I was ahead of my money instead of always running behind it. You've been working too hard and too long to still be in the same place next year. Start today.